Hello and welcome to episode 18 of our YouTube tutorials. Today I want to kind of convert our rough NES style warp to the next slot into more of a smooth radial movement type movement. It's not a huge upgrade, but it is something that was bothering me, so at least we can go from NES to maybe like an SNES kind of a feel to it. Yeah, so the steps for that, we're going to create the list that is the path. Then we're going to add an action taken flag because we're going to need to separate the turn being done from an action being taken so that we can allow time for the mob to move. If you don't want to do that, you can leave things the way they were. Like if you want the turn to end and they're doing their movement during the next person's turn, you could totally do that. But I don't think that's what I want, at least right now, so I'll be using action taken flag to supplement our end of our turn as well, or supplement the functionality wise. We'll add all the radial movement code. It's not a ton, and we'll integrate and test it. It's not a difficult piece, but it makes it look a whole lot better. And then we can work on adding our animations and stuff into that at another time. I was hoping to get a little further than I did on this episode, but this is what I got to for the time period that I think it will take. So, all right, without further ado, actually, if you the new people to the channel, thank you guys for joining up. Welcome. We're glad to have you guys. For everybody who's been here for a while, thank you also. But try to make the new people feel comfortable. If they have questions, help answer them, so on and so forth. Thank you so much, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, all those kinds of things really does help me. I'm just glossing over it, but it really, really does help if you guys will engage in some way with this video. All right, let's jump in. All right, so first things first, we want to create that path. I chose to do it in Unit. You could currently do it somewhere else if you really felt like it, but we are going to do it for both the hero and the mobs. So we're going to go at it from that route. So we have path, public vector2, public list vector2 path equals new list vector2. Usually I type that. I'm sorry. A little bit tired today. I will type everything else. Worry not. Okay, so that just gives us our list. The next important part before we can really get started on hammering through this is we need to add a action taken flag. The action taken flag needs to replace about half the functionality of the ending of a turn. So, for instance, instead of ending the turn right here after setting the location, we are going to just make action taken there. And then the same thing for mobs. So instead of turn done here, let's say action taken. And instead of turn done here, we're going to say action taken. So that should solve for most of that. Now we're going to have to add in code that says, hey, when is my action done? And to do that, we will move back over to Unit. We will add it into update. So above base update, we are going to add a if statement for not turn done. So we need to know turn done because if you look in here, we have the not turn done flag here. And we have a new, we would do it in here if we were doing it in mob, or the same thing in hero, right? Well, we don't have a not turn done in there, but that's okay. Probably should. Anyway, we would do it in these code blocks, but here we're going to do it in Unit because it's going to be exactly the same for both. And so we need a new code block even though it's the same. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to say if the path dot count is greater than 0, then we're going to do something. Else, we are going to so we're going to do obviously something else, but what are we going to do in these things? We're going to say path count greater than 0, then we need to do process movement. And then if there is no path and we have an action taken, so this is else if. So action has been taken and there's no path. Well, how do we say no path? Well, path.count equals 0. Equal to 0. So here will be our turn done. Right, so when there is no path to move and we've taken an action, then our turn is done. Now the processing of the movement, that's another little bit here. So there is 2 cases. One is that we have not yet made it to the location that we're trying to go, and the second is that we have. So let's put those in. And in here we say if path 0 not equal pose, path 0 not equal to the position of this character, then we say vector2 change equals globals dot radial movement, and we are going to pass in path 0, and then we are going to pass in pose, and we're going to pass in something called movement speed, which we didn't set up. So give me a second, we need to set that up. So this is a public float. We're in units, that's good. Movement speed, and then down here we'll say movement speed equals 2.0f, and then we'll put movement speed in here. Why a variable? Well, that way you can speed it up or slow it down however you want, and everywhere you use it, it will update. So you could just put a 2.0 in here if you really wanted to, and you know it's going to be static and it's never going to change. That would be fine. In this case, we're going to create the variable. All right, so we have the change that we want. So then we say pose plus equals change. Now, why do we not just put this right here? Well, you totally can. This is going to be a little easier to debug, and it also allows for you to do things to change that you otherwise might want to in between these 2 points, and then you can still put change just straight into the position. That's just, in my opinion, slightly easier to work with code. And then the last thing we're going to do, and this is going to end up, if you have multiple paths to go, slightly jerky, is path dot remove at 0. What you would potentially want to do is you would want to create a function that does this and then put it directly after this also, so that it hits the new spot and then it keeps moving instead of having like a frame where it doesn't move. For now, we'll just copy paste it. I don't love doing that, but we can. You know what? Let's do it right. Let's do it right. Let's not get lazy. Public virtual void process movement. And then in process movement, we are going to take this and do this, and then we're going to do this, this, this. Okay. Looky there, wasn't lazy. You could also say process movement and then check if it's equal afterwards, and then remove. But I don't actually like having the same if statement inside the same exact statement within itself. It's not a preferred thing for me. I don't know why I dislike that as much as I do, but I definitely do, so I kind of avoid it. I feel like this is easier to read, But I have had people tell me that they prefer it the other way, so I wanted to mention it. So another option is, instead of this else, you do this if statement in here, in this block here, and then you remove if it's now equal to position. That would also work, and you wouldn't need the else. So whichever you prefer on your own code style. These are, I'm trying to highlight these kinds of things so you guys can see that there are different ways to do things. A lot of the comments I get are, why didn't you do it this way? Well, the answer is, I like it better this way, usually. Sometimes it's because your way doesn't work, but a lot of times it's just, well, I like it this way. I like the flatter. I don't like to go super deep all the time into the hierarchy if I can help it. It becomes harder for my brain to go through. But I have definitely been told in the past that that is easier for some people to read. So I wanted to cover it. All right, so this is our movement code, our process movement code. And then we need to go through and make a few more changes. So if you remember, setloc is going to, well, let's just go to it and we can read it. It is going to move us directly to a specific spot. And that's actually good if we're trying to set the starting location. So we don't want to get rid of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a bool. And then in that bool, we are going to, give me a second. Let me remember figure out what I called it over here. I'd like to keep these the same. Force pose. So, all right. Force pose. All right. And, so if force pose, then we are going to do what we used to do. So that's like, hey, go here, spawning a new character, moving to a new floor, moving the character to where the stairs are. Like I said, spawning a character. So, an imp casts a spell that creates another imp. Well, we need to put that imp in. Typically, it's not going to walk out of the other imp's square. I mean, you could do that, but that's not typically how that's done. All right, so in order to handle the other case, which is where we want smooth movement, we're going to say path.add, and we're just going to do this exact same thing. So very simple. It doesn't take a lot, but this gets our path in here. And then that's now going to give us a bunch of errors. Should give us more than 2. So we'll see what happens as we keep going. So this is inside of hero. So this is where we want smooth movement. So we're going to use false to not force the location. Same thing here. We're going to use false. And then we're going to build it because it doesn't seem to want to find the other spots, but it'll break. There we go. And then these are all in level going to be trues because these are actually setting locations. You get some really funky, weird errors if you don't have either 2 functions to handle this or to update it in this way, like your character starts by walking from the top left-hand corner of your screen. So this is what we're solving by doing that. The next issue that we have is that inside of mobs, and this actually took me a little while to find, so I'm gonna mention this. So because we have heroes close in here and it's defined here, what happens is it comes through here, it sets this, but then when it comes back through here, we haven't finished it actually. We have to put all of this in action taken, right? So let me do that first. But anyway, so after I put in action taken, it comes back through this code and hits this. Because we define new heroes close as false here, and it's just always true, it just ends the turn, which is not what we want. So it took me a minute to find that. And so I wanted to mention that. So a couple of the steps we're going to take right now are to fix that. So first, not action taken. And then the next thing is we got to move this guy into an actual class variable as opposed to, it's going to be public, as opposed to being locally declared, and because that just completely messed things up. And we actually remove this line completely. We do no hero close equals true, because that's how we started it. And then the next thing that we actually have to work on is we need to be able to set the starts of our turn properly, which we have these guys here, right? So first things first, at the completion of the turn, we don't care about action taken, but at the start of the turn, we need to make sure action taken is false. Now let's grab these guys, go into mob. That's not draw function, so we're good. We're gonna override. We are going to base dot turn start, base dot turn complete. On turn start for mob, we want no hero close equals true, right? Because it said true here, so that's where we want it to start on the turn, so it's true. But then when it finds it, it's going to keep it false. So then when it comes down here the second time, it will not enter this unless it literally had no hero close. So that is a change that we want to have. I guess we didn't need turn complete, but that's set here so that at least we can edit it if we need to. Okay. I think that we're good. Let me look at not unit. I need to look at hero for a second, make sure that we got everything in hero. I think hero just worked. Hero is much nicer to us here than that. And so, yeah, let's give this a run and see if it works the way we want it to. All right, here we go. Play. Okay, so when I move, and I'm right here, it should be smooth. It was. And we didn't like that. Process movement path. Oh, well, that was dumb. That was just dumb. We can only do this if path dot count greater than 0. Well, that was brilliant. But let's go ahead and give it another shot. Okay, so we're here. I'm going to move to the right. That was good. This guy moved smoothly. They both move smoothly. We continue to see smooth movement. We've lost the aggro of that guy, which is what's supposed to happen. Look at there. All right. So that was the goal here. I know this wasn't the longest one. I know it may not even be necessarily the most interesting, but it was bothering me, the warping characters, so I wanted to move towards something that was a little bit easier to read and understand. And so we did that work. I have more to do here, for sure. I'm going to continue moving on. I'm not sure whether I want to start doing skills or whether I want to start doing more AI here. If you made it this far and you have an opinion on that, just let me know which you would prefer. I'm going to do both eventually, but which one would you like to see earlier? And also, if you've made it this far and you're not subscribed, it would mean a lot to me if you would subscribe. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. It takes half a second and it makes a huge difference for the video. But comment, say something. It really helps with the engagement and with the YouTube algorithm. But anyway, guys, that is this tutorial, and I hope I've helped in some way. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.